Brenda, you were going to check on we had Article 4, had a question about the on-call employees. Remember this?
I can address that for you if you want to do that.
Is it addressed?
Yeah, I have the answer for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Financial report. Morning.
Good morning. In your packet is the October financial report. For the third month in a row, run volume is over 2016 run volume. And so on page 7 of your packet, you can see that the total operating revenues are 90% of the budget through October. And then on that same page, page 7 of your packet, the operating expenses are at 72%, and as we've talked before, that's because of vacancies in the department and unfilled shifts in the salaries. Capital outlay, on page 7, the $92,633, that was for the purchase of the portable radios of $15,526. That was approved by the commission, and then the cardiac monitors and upgrades of $71,000. On page 8 of your packet is the cash flow. And because of that increased run volume, we're seeing that cash flow from operations for the month ended October 31st is $19,000 negative. And then for the year-to-date, it's $137,000 negative. But then the municipal contributions that come in take care of that operating cash flow deficit. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't know you had paper copies, so I can tell you what page they are too.
Page 3.
Yeah, I was scrambling. I think they put the wrong page numbers on there just to mess me up this morning. It's not going to happen.
Well, I've been going to some other commissions, and they're all electronic, and I'll be talking about page numbers on the paper copy, so I just have to get used to what commission. I apologize. Back on that page 3, that cash flow. Cash flow from operations compared to last year, it's a positive change of $44,000 because of that increased call volume. Capital outlay is a positive this year from last year, and that's because we purchased the ambulance last year, and so that's got a net effect of $94,000 between the 2 years. And then the per capita from municipalities went up for 2017, and so there's a positive $17,000. We had talked about, we were looking at budget, that we would have a zero net effect on cash for the year. I think it will be positive by 25 to 50,000 based on the last 3 months of increased call volume.
Good.
On page 4 of your packet is the accounts receivable reconciliation that you see each month. Nothing really to note on that except the increased call volume. The next page, the accounts receivable reconciliation, the far right columns are what I like to look at, and the percent over 60 days continues to be low at 5.1%, and then over 90 is 1.6%. So they're working those calls through the system quickly, and that's what we like to see.
I agree.
Brenda, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Back on the statement of cash flow,
Yes.
you've got a net increase to date in 2017 of $115,000. To what do you attribute that?
Increased run volume over 2016 of $44,000 that's generated so far, that increased run volume. And then changes in capital asset purchases this year versus last year. Last year, we purchased an ambulance. This year, we just purchased some heart monitors, so there's a net effect there of $94,000 between the 2 years. And then the per capita from the municipalities in 2016 was $13 per capita, and this year's $14, and so there's a net effect there of $17,300.
Thank you.
And then page 6 of your paper copy is that run volume by hour and day that we're starting to track. The numbers are there, but then we tried to graph it then on page 7, 8, and 9. And, you know, what we're seeing is that interfacility transfer between the hours of midnight and 6, we saw an average of 16 or 0.16, so not even 1. But total call volume between that hour, those 6 hours is 0.45 and 0.35, so 0.8, so less than 1 call during that time on average in October. And that was what we saw in August and September too, when we started to track these calls by hour and day.
I would have guessed that would be true. The only reason you'd have an interfacility transfer during the midnight to 6 in the morning is somebody's in serious problems, right?
Generally.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, they wouldn't do it then.
And total, and not even interfacility, but total calls during that time is 0.80, so not even a call during that 6-hour time frame on average.
So that includes the calls, including ones that the EMS was able to take?
That does not include those. Those are only completed calls that are in there. So if there's nights that we're not able to complete interfacility due to staffing, those aren't accounted for in here.
Okay.
Correct, and have we started to track those?
We really don't have a mechanism to, because we don't get called for all of them.
Okay.
So if they know that we're not staffed, they won't call.
But, and we've reached out, as I recall, last meeting, we were reaching out to the hospital to see if we
Several times with no response.
Okay.
I'm confused by your numbers.
Okay.
Because you talk about 0.8, like there's only 1 call. And I look at the numbers in your charts on paper copy number 6, and I look from 0 to 6 a.m., and it shows a total of the week of 11 calls from 0 to 3 a.m., and from 3 is 9, and then you show that average of 0.29. And your total for the average for the week is 4.7, but yet when I look down, there's 146 runs.
The 0 to 3 o'clock in the morning, those 11 calls, those occurred during the 31-day period, not just a 7-day
week.
period.
Okay,
Yep,
okay, thank you. All right,
good question.
okay. Is that it?
That's all. Any other questions?
Had something, but don't remember what it was now. Okay.
Okay.
That's good, thank you. So what did I do with there? Just ad hoc committee report updates.
Okay, so the ad hoc committee was approved by the city council on October 16th. We've already met on October 25th and November 9th. Our next meeting will be November 29th at 6:30 here in the city council chambers. The committee consists of me, Jim Weber, Paul Rohde, Colleen Hammer, and Bill Campbell. We're working on a survey of the employees. Joanne, has that been
It went out
disseminated?
on Monday.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. 8 questions, all open-ended questions about what their, what they think is good about the St. Croix EMS, what's the worst thing, how can it be improved, ideas, asking for ideas on how it can become self-sustaining, what they think of the staffing plan for next year. Is there anything else that they'd like to ask or tell the ad hoc committee? And then we're asking if they would be willing to discuss it face-to-face with a committee member, and that we've got them sending an email to Joanne if they're interested in that. So the results from this survey, the survey will be closed November 20th. And we have a survey work group already put together. They will summarize it so that we can disseminate the information that we've received, and then we can start analyzing it. We've also formed a work group for the finance area, and we'll get started with that as well.
Who's on that?
Pardon?
Who's on that?
Let's see now. The Finance Committee, or Finance Work Group is Colleen Hammer, me, and then Brenda and Brandon. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Then we've also gotten feedback from the employees that they would like to have a representative in an advisory capacity on the ad hoc committee, and so they've already gotten 4 people that will work together to make sure that there's a representative there each time. We will be meeting with the employees on November 28th. There's going to be a staff meeting that evening, and all of the ad hoc committee members will be there so that we can introduce ourselves to the employees and let them know what our objectives are. Did I miss anything? Or any additions?
Do you have any idea when you'll be able to report back on findings to be able to determine how you're going to get the cost to zero? Because that was your motion
Yes.
originally.
That was the motion originally. This is going to take some time, but...
How long do you think? 6 months, 2 years?
I think that we'll have some, a better idea in about 3 to 6 months how long it's going to take.
My personal estimate would be in 1 to 2 year range. I think it's reasonable for us to work through that. Depends, there are a lot of short-term things, if they happen, then great, but low percentage.
Okay. But you should have some idea, probably within the 3 to 6 months, if there's things that'll work. I would guess.
I would,
You know
yes.
what I mean? You may
Yes.
not be able to accomplish them within 1 to 2, but you should be
But
able
we
to.
should have
If
some,
you really think there's ways out there that
Yes.
you can do that,
we should have them identified within the next 3 to 6 months, I would
I
think.
would hope so.
Okay.
Any other questions of the commission? Okay. Discuss possible action on the 2018 budget.
The only thing for that is budget hearing is next week. There's been no changes to the budget that was presented to the committee. So we're just waiting on final approval.
Okay. Date on RFP for billing company.
So the RFP's been completed. I believe it's in your packet. It's been sent off to Catherine for review. The only input I need from you guys at this point is setting the timeline. I'm assuming that some of you might want to be involved in actually reviewing what comes in. So,
I'll be glad to.
okay. Well, we just need to, on page 4 is kind of the timeline of what we're looking to set the dates for.
Okay.
So I'm looking for some input there.
Anything else on that? Any other questions? Running the bills through rapidly, as she indicated. Do they know we're doing an RFP, don't they?
We haven't sent anything out to them yet.
They don't know yet?
No, nope,
Okay, I was just curious.
nope, I was
All
waiting
of a
till we
sudden,
got
they're
the,
stepping up to the plate really quick.
Yep. I was waiting for the final copy to be approved before we sent them there.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Probably get pressure from all of their clients.
Brandon, when is the notification date for the?
It's 60 days prior to July.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Possible action on public safety facility.
There isn't really nothing with that, nope.
Okay.
That will be discussed Thursday night with the public safety committee.
Okay. What are you anticipating, Joyce? Anything at all?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I haven't
Okay,
gotten any information yet.
all right. Discuss possible action on how and more equitable EMS costs could be shared. Well, if council turned it down, so I turn to you and I'm gonna ask you, is North Hudson gonna stay in the service? In the state of Wisconsin, cities and villages do not have to have EMS service.
Correct.
They can opt out. Townships have to. Are you going to stay in the service and pay for it, or are you going to opt out and not pay for it? And just have your residents call 911 and have St. Croix EMS come and deliver the service for free?
That's been discussed. We're going to have a meeting on that. We discussed it at our last meeting and said, hey, we got to find something else because they don't want to do that. We're going to be looking elsewhere, and we're aware that we do not have to. We could be like Warren, and
Just follow the service.
we could discuss with
You'd be the-
with Lakeview also. I mean, we're going to look at our options. I mean, we can't opt out right now because that's a September 30th date. So
Okay.
we have until September 30th of 18 in order to decide which way we're going to go.
Okay. Great. Does anybody else have any questions of the village? Okay,
No.
thank you. Medical director's update?
We don't have one this month.
Okay. Chief's report?
Just want to address the bylaws question. In 2012, the city of Hudson adopted an ordinance that actually covered all of the employee questions. Basically, let's see, Chapter 65, Section 5, all employees should be considered employees of the city of Hudson regardless of pay structure, should be afforded coverage under the city's workers' compensation and liability policies. So that should take care of everything that we questioned there.
Brandon, I wasn't at the ad hoc committee, and I haven't watched it, but I saw in the minutes that some gentleman named Ron Howard was present. What was that about?
He asked some questions about our purchases of the cardiac monitors. He said he had found some for $1,000 online. After talking to him, they were obsolete models that were not comparable to what we use. So, the next thing I had for the,
From my perspective, this is just a guy, he's been attending our meetings, he happens to live in my district, and he's just interested, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
the other update is the stove has been installed downstairs. The kitchen area is up and functional. The full-time medic position that we were trying to fill, the gentleman that I was looking to fill it with has accepted position with another agency. So we're kind of back to the drawing board. I'd like to send that one back out,
Do you have any
repost.
idea what agency you went to?
I went to Alina,
Okay.
so,
River Falls? Line and River?
no, in the Twin Cities.
The Twin Cities?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'd like to
Just for checking for what we're competing against,
Yep.
because all of the reviews are against basically Wisconsin services when we've discussed it.
so I'd like to repost that if there's no objection.
Okay.
And I think that's all I have for updates.
Okay. Future agenda items. Minutes, financial report, ad hoc. Got to do the budget again. We shouldn't have to do it. The only, when are you going to release that RFP, you think?
As soon as we figure out the timeline. So you want to be involved in it? Does anybody else want to be involved in reviewing the proposals?
No.
Okay. All right. So we'll get the dates.
But the only reason for asking is, should it be on next month's budget, or next month's meeting?
Yeah, we'll just do an update on it.
Okay.
It was run by Catherine?
She has it right now.
Okay.
Yep.
And we wouldn't do the equitable sharing of cost. Medical director's report, chief's report, that'd be it. And our next meeting would be, right now it would be the 13th at 7:30, December 13th. Does that work?
I believe so. This may be one of the shortest meetings.
I agree. I agree.
Starting to get close to me right now. I mean, this is getting a little spooky, because my note here said, this is the ballpark for North Hudson. It's like, wow, way to go, Tim. And everybody else, too.
Okay? That's when we'll meet. And
13th at 7:30, is that correct?
7:30 a.m. the 13th. One of you going to be, or both of you going to be here for that meeting to report? Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. I move we adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
Made second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. We are done. Thank you very much.